Welcome to our webinar for administrators on special education teacher burnout and resilience. This webinar is part of our study called Breathe Ease, which is funded by the Institute of Education Science. It's a collaboration between Lisa Rubel at the University of Kentucky and Michelle Salyers and John McGrew at IUPUI. I am Michelle, and we are happy that you've joined us today. I also want to introduce our team who really helped us pull all of this together. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the background for our study and the problem of burnout. We'll spend a little bit of time on Breathe Ease and our approach that we're using to help individual teachers. We'll spend most of the time focused on what you may be able to do to help as an administrator. Just briefly, our study came out of a couple of different approaches. Dr. Rubel and McGrew, who were doing work with special education teachers and developed Compass as a model for consulting with teachers in the autism field, found that students whose teachers reported higher burnout and stress did not make as much progress on their IEPs. At the same time, I was working with mental health treatment providers on ways to reduce burnout and stress in their work. So the three of us began working together to try to integrate our findings to work with special education teachers. Breathe Ease is a study to develop an approach to build resilience and reduce burnout that is tailored to the special education teacher, their setting, and their needs. We first started with focus groups that were conducted with teachers and with administrators. We then pilot tested a series of Breathe workshops, an approach that we first used for mental health providers. We will refine and further test this with a larger group in other settings next year. Part of the feedback from the study so far is that it might be helpful for administrators to learn more about these issues and to have tools to help teachers too. So what is burnout? All of us have our own internal ideas of what burnout means to us. In the research field, we tend to focus on Christina Maslach's conceptualization that has three components. The first is emotional exhaustion, feeling overextended and overwhelmed. The second component refers to depersonalization, feeling cynical and having negative attitudes and feelings towards people you work with. And the third component is a sense of diminished work accomplishment or feeling that you're not really being effective on the job anymore. When all three of these come together, that's what we call burnout. We are led by a model of burnout called the Job Demands and Resources model of burnout. Within this model, job demands tend to lead to higher levels of burnout. Demands might be related to challenges or hindrances at work, like an excessive workload, a high level of responsibility, or a lot of conflict. At the same time, our jobs bring resources. Resources tend to increase work engagement and decrease burnout. So, having things like clear job expectations, autonomy, involvement in decision-making, and coworker and administrator support are all resources that can help. In addition, all of us work within organizational contexts that have climates and cultures that might lead to greater levels of burnout or to greater levels of work engagement. Some questions you might ask yourself then are, how much does my school promote a work-life balance? To what extent is our school a positive and respectful workplace? We all come to work with personal resources. So how do we manage our emotions and our time? How do we think about our work? How is our physical health? Do we have social support and spiritual connections in our lives? All of these things can lead to how we manage burnout and work stress. And burnout and work engagement can lead to longer-term outcomes like turnover and teaching quality. This model really helps guide a lot of our work. Research shows that teachers who experience high levels of burnout often have other physical and mental health problems, like anxiety and depression. For the school, burnout has been associated with decreased teaching effectiveness and teacher attrition. In fact, several studies show that annual turnover rates for special education teachers is about 20%, and the odds of a new special education teacher leaving is about 2.5 times higher than for general education teachers. Teacher burnout can also affect students. Burned out teachers are seen as more distant and less sympathetic. Teachers with high levels of burnout tend to have more student problem behaviors. So there are a variety of potential problems that come along with burnout that are costly to students and to schools. So where does teacher burnout come from? The model suggests that burnout is more likely when there is an imbalance in demands and resources. In fact, teachers in our focus groups talked a lot about students and parents. Although students often bring a lot of joy and are a rewarding part of the work, they also contribute to the demands of the work. Things like the emotional and behavioral needs of the students, needing to have difficult conversations with parents who may not understand the teacher's situation, having a high workload, a lot of paperwork that they often have to do after school hours, which interferes with their work-life balance, and just being spread so thin that they have to cover for other teachers as well as doing their own work. Teachers in our focus groups also talked about new teachers who might not be prepared for the realities of the work and might need more help from seasoned teachers. There's also a sense of accountability and pressure regarding test scores and the changing expectations for special education teachers, all of the rules and the paperwork that's involved, and a sense of not feeling understood or respected from other teachers and the general public, coupled with the fear of the consequences. If students aren't performing well, what will it mean for them? Finally, the relationship with administrators is also important. Burnout is more common when teachers feel that administrators don't understand or support them in their roles, or when they don't have access to resources for their classrooms. That brings us to our intervention and what we're trying to do to help. Our study, Breathe Ease, is an extension of what we've done in mental health settings called Breathe. Our approach is to treat burnout like other stress-related mental health concerns. So we help people by first becoming aware of what burnout is, identifying what their personal warning signs are and their triggers for when they start to feel overwhelmed at work. At the same time, we work on trying to enhance their coping strategies. We approach this by talking about burnout prevention principles, and then we work on different practices that they might use. Each person comes away with a personal plan from their toolkit that they have identified, and the strategies that seem to work best for them. Our goal is not just to reduce burnout, but to enhance well-being. Breathe Ease happens through half-day workshops and providing opportunities for social support throughout the school year. In Breathe Ease, we present a number of practices to help build personal resources. We focus on core contemplative practices like deep breathing and mindfulness exercises that can help people reduce stress and enhance their well-being. We also cover cognitive practices, how we think about our work, reconnecting with our meaning and our values. We remind people of the importance of physical strategies like getting appropriate sleep and nutrition. We also cover time management approaches, helping people to think about how they can schedule their time and work more effectively with the time that they do have. And then we focus on building social support and relationships at work, including how to have difficult conversations. At the same time, we're trying to help people integrate this into their daily work life. So as administrators, what can you do to help teachers? One key area is to help people feel more supported in attending to their well-being. Sometimes people just need to be given permission or to feel like it's okay to focus on themselves. They're so used to being there to help students and other people. So if you can encourage their well-being and also learn to identify some early warning signs around stress and burnout at work, you might be able to intervene earlier and see if people might need some extra support. Also, help special education teachers feel valued. Some of the things that teachers talked about in our focus groups, and these have been highlighted in the research literature too, is the need to be accessible to teachers, to be visible, come to their class, learn about their struggles. You can help teachers feel more effective and involved at work. Self-determination theory emphasizes that people are at their best when they can develop mastery, feel autonomous, and have a sense of purpose and connection. Providing clear and realistic job expectations can help build mastery. Autonomy can be supported by giving teachers more control over their daily tasks and seeing their input on things that affect them. Find ways to encourage social support and group cohesion for teachers. Special education teachers in particular often feel isolated. In some cases, they may be the only person in their school or one of very few who do their type of work. So if there are opportunities to help create formal or informal social support, that can be very helpful. For example, offering some wellness activities that might bring teachers together. You might look for ways to enhance communication and respect between special education and general education teachers. In our focus groups, teachers sometimes talked about feeling that other teachers might not understand their particular stressors and workload. Sometimes special educators are in the role of a classroom teacher, or they may be an advocate for students in general education classrooms. Others may be a support person for students in the classroom as a co-teacher. Their role as a special educator may change throughout the day, which can be hard to manage. This may also contribute to general educators not understanding the expectations of special educators, as they may be different depending on the specific needs of the students. Administrators could facilitate better understanding of expectations between general educators and special educators, recognizing that those expectations are going to be different between different teachers, and they may change throughout the year depending on what the student needs. The last area is around enhancing staffing. We recognize that schools may be limited by the resources you have available, so hiring a lot of new staff may not be feasible. But there are other staffing-related areas that might be helpful. For example, designate someone who might be a specialist in special education law or regulations so that teachers can free up their time to focus on teaching. You might build in extra breaks for planning and paperwork time. Often this becomes homework for the teacher and is a big factor in burnout. That brings us to the end of our webinar for today. We would love to hear from you. So if you have questions, need more information, or would like to provide us with some feedback on the webinar, please contact us at one of the following emails. Thank you very much for your time.